City take on Liverpool, and in a weird dystopian world, this might be a game that decides the title for Liverpool, although it's one that doesn't really matter for City that much, which is so fascinating because so many times, year after year, this game has often decided the title because they've been the two title contenders. How do you feel going into this? Because you've lost to Madrid, Pep said, let's focus on the Premier League. Are you bothered?
Not confident at all. I think that performance against Madrid was kind of the cap of what has been a really pathetic 3 months. And I think as City fans, obviously you tend to have like this emotional connection to the players who have given me and everyone around me like the best memories of our entire lives. But the performances over the last couple of months, signified by that performance against Real Madrid, is completely unacceptable. It's actually pathetic. And I know that there are players in there who probably shouldn't be playing at this level anymore. And there are players in there who probably aren't maximum fitness. But you go to the Bernabeu, all you need is one goal to take it to extra time. City did not even lay a single glove. And you've got players in there who aren't that old. Bernardo Silva's 30. Salah's 3 years older than him, and he's running every single Premier League team into the ground. And Bernardo Silva can't make a tackle. Phil Foden is technically still a young player. Only 2 years ago, he won Young Player of the Year. And he is not pressing or making any attempt to get the ball. And I just think that was such an unbelievably disappointing performance. And then you're coming up against probably the best side in the league at the moment. You've had a few maybe not so good performances against Everton, against Wolves, against Villa. I thought you were better, but the previous two were a little bit lacklustre. But I think this is pretty cut and dry that Liverpool will win this game.
Do you think on that point about, and we will talk about City, but this is obviously Liverpool's title chase. Do you think on that point about Liverpool not being great in the last few weeks? And before we start recording, if you've sat here throughout the season, Kweku has backed Liverpool to the hill, probably more than I have.
Yeah.
But then you just sort of said there's cracks showing.
Yeah, because I have the ability to watch Liverpool when they play at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. The results are tucked away. Yeah. And so those games where, Liverpool beat Bournemouth 2-0, if you actually watch that game, Bournemouth could have won that game. Clive missed an open goal. And you just look at Liverpool's recent results and performances, and they haven't been there. It's a slight wobble, but it's a wobble where you're not losing games. So you're keeping your head above water. But I am just watching Liverpool closely because going to the Etihad, they're still going to the Etihad. I know Man City have been poor this season. Kim's laughing.
You've been saying that for 3 months.
You know what it is though? It's because my team went to the Etihad and got turned over. So I know that we're in terrible form anyway. But it's still a big game. It's still going to have the big build up. And Liverpool players, the ones that remember what it's like to win the league title, remember that Etihad's a tough place to go. Liverpool don't really win there. And so it's going to be a very difficult game. I think that you talk about City not being up for or not being like in games. If you look at the Real Madrid tie, I know they were really good in the first leg, but the second leg they weren't really in it. I think they'll be up for this game against Liverpool. I think there'll be motivation there to put a little dent in the hopes of a team that they've gone back and forth with over the last 5 or 6 years. So this game's going to be tough for Liverpool, and I don't think they're guaranteed to get 3 points at the Etihad.
What I think is interesting is I thought the same thing when City played Arsenal, that Pep will want to put a dent in Arsenal's title chase because they've been closer to City in the last couple of years. And what actually ended up happening is, while we love the narrative, the physical wasn't there for City. They physically couldn't do it. So in this game, I also look at it and go, the narrative is of course there, but they've played on a Wednesday night and they just don't look very fit this season.
No, they're not fit. And let's be honest, like we've given a lot of sympathy to Ange Postecoglou, and we should have. But there's been no sympathy extended to Pep Guardiola, who's had a pretty similar injury crisis. They might not have come all at the same time, but if you look at that Real Madrid game, the first 20 minutes, City were absolutely fantastic. Then Jack Grealish goes off injured, who didn't give the ball away a single time. Then Akanji goes off injured. Then 10 minutes in at the Bernabeu, John Stones goes off injured. Haaland's not playing because he's injured. So we've got all these big names out. And then you add to the list, and I was speaking to City fans yesterday, and I was saying, like, who do you actually want to keep? And there are so many players that you want to get rid of. I think most want to get rid of Ederson. De Bruyne's too old. Bernardo Silva's not there anymore. Stones regularly injured. Ake regularly injured. Rico Lewis not up to the level. Jack Grealish regularly injured and doesn't start. Ilkay Gundogan too slow. That's almost all of the team who most City fans are thinking they shouldn't be playing. And I know what Kweku says when he's like, oh yeah, but it's still City at the Etihad. But that is the actual reality of the situation, is those players who are going to be playing against Mohamed Salah and on a slot side. I just think there's no chance.
The one thing I would say is, and I haven't got the record in front of me here, Man City have lost just one of their last 15 Premier League home games against Liverpool. So it's a pretty daunting record. But this season, They've reverse broken almost all of their records. But I do think if there's a team you don't want to come up against if you're City, is the legs of Liverpool. But I also think for Liverpool, they probably don't want to come up against a wounded City. So that there's no pressure on City this game. And in a lot of ways, that can sometimes work in your favour.
Have the best teams gone to Etihad and won this season? I don't think they have. Arsenal went there, didn't win. Forest went there, didn't win. Chelsea went there, didn't win. It's still the Etihad. It's still not. It's not 3-point lane. It's still one of the toughest place, barring Anfield, to go in the league. So I think that Man City are they're still in the greatness then. And you're right to point out the injuries, because when you look at that Man City team that played against Real Madrid, then there was a point. Throughout the game, no Kevin De Bruyne, no Rodri, no Haaland. Like, of course, Man City weren't going to win that game. And if those three players aren't playing on the weekend against Liverpool, then it's going to be very, very difficult for City to get anything in it. But I think that this Liverpool team is well aware, acutely aware, that Man City have still got inner greatness within them. And Liverpool have to be on their P's and Q's. They want to get all 3 points in this one.
Let's very quickly talk about Darwin Núñez. Because
Have we got enough time?
Liverpool have a situation on their hands here.
Yeah, but you explain the situation, because you are trying to explain away or trying to give excuses to a man that missed one of the easiest chances we've seen this season, one of the easiest chances we've seen in Premier League history. He squared it. What happened?
Listen, I played the game. You know, I think the only thing I would say, I added context to it, that I felt Dominic Szoboszlai, my number 10's gone in on goal. The keeper's probably in an okay position, and Mings is far in the future, just took it away. And I think as a footballer, you go, do I want to give it to Darwin in this situation, who's not in the best form, and his form like goes up and down, and he's just come on? Genuinely, if it's me, I'm not going to pass him. And I think he's passed it to him. And that's no, but I'm looking at the full context. Szoboszlai's in good form, playing well. Darwin misses that chance, and even Arne Slot said it. That then led to him having his head down. And after that, like, honestly, I was watching the game and I was going, he doesn't even want the ball anymore.
He should have his head down. He should have his head down, and you can't blame Dominic Szoboszlai for passing the ball to a £70 million striker 2 meters away from goal on the ground.
I hear it.
That's not his fault, and I think Darwin Núñez has got to take some responsibility. I think it'd be very surprising if he's still at the club anyway next summer. I think.
But the question I had was, at this period in the season where I think Liverpool are leaning too much on Salah. He's got 12 games left and he only has to do it for another 12 games, but he's done this all season. He's going to slow down for a couple of games. Jota's been injured, Gakpo's currently injured, Diaz isn't very prolific in front of goal. So the last man you're hanging your hat on is Darwin.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's my only worry with this Liverpool team. Otherwise, I think they'll walk the league.
I think this is the season where, touch wood, because I really, really love him as a footballer. I think this is the season where you don't see the drop off from Mo Salah. We've seen it in previous years where, because of AFCON, because of the way that he played, the back end of the season for Mo Salah is disproportionate in terms of numbers. The numbers are always good on the front end, always looks like a Ballon d'Or contender, and then back end of the season it's more like 1 and 2, 1 and 3. But he's changed the way he plays football. Mo Salah walks. He walks around the pitch. He doesn't run anymore. Yeah. And he just picks his moments, and picks his moments better than anyone we've ever seen in Premier League history. I love watching him play, because you're like, Salah's not doing anything. All of a sudden, goal, assist. And he's just putting up those numbers. So I think you can rely on Salah, and I think that's what Arne Slot should do. All those players that are out of contract, all those players that might not be there, lean on them. I know that Trent's got a minutes restriction. Play him. He's not going to be there next season. And I think this Liverpool team, it hasn't got the essence of a last dance, because I do think that Salah's going to stay, and I do think that Van Dijk's going to stay. But this does feel like sort of a final push before you go again and rejuvenate the squad. So I think you can lean on these players, because I think they've got enough in the tank. They know what the prize is to go and win this Premier League title. Arne Slot was asked, what do you want to win? He goes, we want to win it all, but we want to win the Premier League. And I think you've got enough to do it.
I agree, and I think psychologically for Salah as well, he will have been the best player to never win multiple Premier Leagues if he doesn't win it this year. And I think he knows that. He's obviously looking at City and he's thinking, right, this is my chance now. Win this one, maybe win it again next year. I cannot see him slowing down at all.
I don't know. Maybe it's the pessimist in me, but I think the level he set this season, I think it's 38 goals and assists, which is a Premier League record. I just think, like, for him to keep going, he's going to reach 50. And that, for me, seems quite abnormal, like, out of this world a little bit. So I do, and I also just watch Liverpool, and I think in that Villa game, yes, Darwin scores, Liverpool could win the game, whatever. But Salah's again turned up with the numbers, and he's going to have to do it again against City, and then 3 days later again against Newcastle, then 3 days later again against, can't remember who we play, then the Champions League, and I'm like, he can't keep this up.
Has there been many better big game players in the Premier League history than Mo Salah? Whenever there's a big game, I don't care if it's from the penalty spot, I don't care if it's a worldie, I don't care how he scores, he's giving you numbers. And he's going to do the same against City on the weekend, because it's just what Mo Salah does.
All right, let's get score predictions.
I've tried being positive. The last few weeks.
Hold on.
The last few weeks I've tried.
You said before the Madrid game, by the way.
Yeah, I thought we'd
We're
win.
going through. You know what I mean? We're going Bernabeu.
But you got to believe.
You got to believe. You got to believe. I told you
Lie to
yesterday.
yourself.
Football is about emotions. It's not about logic. But the emotions are getting over me. For this game, there's no way I can back the Blues for this game. I think the bodies that are in there, the injuries that we've got at the moment, and just the desire, the way we're playing, I think there's no way we don't get turned over. I think 3-1 Liverpool.
I think the second Desmond in the row for Liverpool. I think 2-2.
I think 2-2 as well. I think Liverpool will draw, and then I think the pressure will be on a little bit. But then obviously Newcastle at home and they'll win that one. So we'll be good.